But much more sophisticated means are being developed to allow scientists to look much closer at the library's rare items and find out more about them.
This is a daguerreotype plate inside an environmental scanning electron microscope. So the door is open, and it's a microscope that instead of using light, it uses electrons and to make images. And unlike a light microscope, which can usually only go up to 1,000 times magnification, this can go up to 100,000 times magnification. So we can see tiny, tiny particles of ink. We can see fibers in paper and how they relate to each other. You know, we can take all of these images, get all of this chemical information without doing any damage to the object.
We're learning very quickly that these technologies have extraordinary opportunities for us. They offer us extraordinary opportunities to investigate materials at a level that we've never been able to before.
The Preservation Directorate also oversees one very special group of materials, and that is the group that is called the library's top treasures. The reason we oversee these materials is because we have a vault in which we keep them in the optimum environment. So we currently have a project underway to look at these treasures more closely. We're using some of the latest imaging technology called hyperspectral imaging to see if we can find unique identifiers on these very, very rare and special collections. And in doing this process, it's really been an act of discovery for us.
Normally when you photograph something or scan something, you illuminate it with as much light as possible. Because at the library the collections can be very fragile, this way we can just put very narrow wave bands, minimal light.
So we're seeing things beyond what you can see when you look at something in normal lighting, things that are hidden from us in normal lighting.
One of the documents analyzed this way is Lincoln's Gettysburg Address.
When we started imaging this, we actually found there was a thumb and 3 fingers right where you would fold the page on the second page of this document. This is the page that he wrote in pencil, supposedly on the way to Gettysburg on the train.
These actually may be the fingerprints of Abraham Lincoln. It's very difficult to prove that because there are no records of his actual fingerprints.
In the not too distant future, we should be able to take DNA off that print and start to say, you know, we can actually say yes or no, it is actually Lincoln's.
Next, they took from the vault Thomas Jefferson's first draft of the Declaration of Independence, and they used the same technology, hyperspectral imaging, on it.
In looking at the manuscript, we saw an area that was slightly blurred. And our scientists, looking at this more closely, began to speculate that what looked like a smudge under the word citizen might actually be a word in and of itself that Jefferson, for some reason, chose to obliterate, possibly while the ink was still wet. And so we were speculating on what this word might be. Might it be patriots? Might it be residents? Something along those lines. And we were fortunate enough to have a tour by the Madison Council, who is a donor group for the Library of Congress, who advises us. And we often on tours will ask observers, well, what do you think this might be? And one of the participants in the tour said that she thought it looked like the word subjects under citizens. And that was one of those moments when a chill went through all of us because it seemed so right and so logical and so seminal that this was the moment that Jefferson might have changed his mind with the realization that we were no longer subjects and we were now citizens. So, but just speculating isn't good enough. We then had the task to continue on our examination and see if we could confirm this. And by doing continued elaborate examination, I think we finally have nailed it, and our scientist has been able to show that indeed the word was subjects. As it turns out, this entire section is not even in the final version of the Declaration of Independence.
Hyperspectral imaging is just one of the high-tech examples where the Library of Congress is using new technology to learn about the past.